All right, everyone. Well, welcome to Leveraging LinkedIn. This is part of the Elevate Your Career series delivered by a Careers and Employment Services team. It's wonderful to have you all along. I will be monitoring the chat. I also have Ted and Alex who will be monitoring that chat too. And we are going to get right in. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to speak up. Please feel free to turn your video on if you would like to. It's entirely up to you. And you can also post your questions in the chat and I will get to them. Please feel free to also use your hands up function or anything else that you need to use to get my attention throughout this workshop. Now, I have you for about an hour. So thank you for deciding to spend some time with us today. And we are going to be delivering this session as part of the Launch Your Career series. There's a number of face-to-face and online workshop opportunities available. You may like to have a look at writing your resume, interview preparation, advancing through the application process, learning LinkedIn and also job search strategies, elevate your career, which is what this session is a part of. There's also networking strategies online and tips for building a successful graduate career. All right, so let's get going. So before we get started today, I'd just like to provide an acknowledgement of country. So Griffith University acknowledges the people who are the traditional custodians of the land. We pay respect to the elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. So these are some of the learning objectives for today's session. What you can expect that we will cover off on is listed in front of you. We are going to be encouraging you to have a really close look at your current LinkedIn profile, identify any areas for improvement. We're going to identify and utilise some key functionalities of the LinkedIn platform to make sure you are actually able to reach whatever your purpose and goal is in using LinkedIn. We're going to look at a range of strategies, platform functionalities to connect and grow your professional network. That's what LinkedIn is all about. It's all about relationships. We're going to look at some strategies to engage your networks, to build your credibility and your reach. So some of you may already have a LinkedIn profile. Some of you may have one, but not looked at it for quite some time. Perhaps you had to do it as part of an assessment piece. Or perhaps you created a profile a year or two ago and you just haven't gone back and revisited it. So in this session, we're going to focus on some advanced tips that will help you to stand out on LinkedIn and make the most of the opportunities that this platform can provide to basically help support your career development and to build and nurture your professional community. All of this is about getting you in a really good place for your future. And don't forget, we're also here, Careers and Employment Services team, also here to support you if you need any other kinds of assistance. LinkedIn can be an amazing resource, depends how you use it. But if you're looking for a new opportunity, advancement in your career, you're looking for advice and support, it can be actually a pretty amazing platform. Now, what I'd like you to do in the chat, can you just let me know how confident you are in using LinkedIn on a scale of 1 to 10? So 1 being not at all confident and 10 being very confident. Give me an idea. I'd love to know where you're at. So in the chat, type in where you think you might be at from a scale of 1 to 10. I'll give you a minute to do that. Okay, Mun says 5. Oh, Lorna, 2. Mara, 5. They've got a bit of work to do, I can see. One, haven't got an account. That's great. Well, I'm going to show you a resource that will help you to actually get set up on LinkedIn. We won't be focusing on getting set up today. We will be focusing on a few more advanced LinkedIn functionalities, but that's okay. I'm sure you will all learn something. So most people are sort of sitting at 5 or below, which is quite okay. Got lots of room for growth, and I'm hoping that this session will really be useful to you today. All right, so here are some questions that you actually might like to ask yourself that will help you to identify where you are at with your profile. So some of you may have the basics, some of you perhaps sitting in that sort of 4 or 5, you may have the basics. You might have a headshot, you might have a banner, you might have worked on your profile. You might have a little summary which tells people about you and tells people about what your professional career objectives are. You might have connected already with a few interesting professionals and started building your networks and your profile. So here are some questions that you might like to ask yourself. So is my profile okay? Is it complete? Does it represent what I want to be known for? Has your situation changed? Did you create your profile when you perhaps were working full-time and now you're studying and looking for different opportunities? Are you looking for different work opportunities now? Does it reflect the things that you actually care about? So being authentic is actually a really important part of building trust. LinkedIn is built on relationships. And does it advocate for my strengths? Does it show off my achievements? And does it demonstrate my potential? These are all really important things for you to consider. Now, for some of you who still need to master the basics, this is a module that we have available. There will be a link. I will provide that link to you. It's available on our SharePoint Career Resources SharePoint for students. There's a handy checklist in here. There's all sorts of things that can help you to assess where you're at with your LinkedIn profile. Okay. So something for you to do after the workshop today. All right, so I'm really interested to hear how you're all intending on using LinkedIn. What's your purpose? What do you want to use the platform for? What are your intentions? What are your goals? If you wouldn't mind just typing in the chat, or you're speaking up if you'd like to turn your mic on, you're more than welcome. Let me know how and why you want to use the platform. I'll give you all a minute just to type into the chat. Let's have a bit of a discussion about how you're intending on using the platform. So Jacqueline says to develop networks and connections. That's fantastic. It's all about relationships. What about career research? Has anyone thought about researching career pathways? UN says to find jobs. Fantastic. We find jobs often through people that we know, professionals in the industry that we may connect with through LinkedIn. So Mun says networking and connecting with professionals who are in the industry. Great. These are all really good uses for LinkedIn. So it's all about building your professional network. It's about improving your presence, getting noticed. It's also about assisting in your job search, helping you with your sort of clarity around, where you're going with your career, what your career pathway might actually look like. Perhaps you want to seek advice from other professionals. This is a really good platform to do that. It's also a way to advocate for yourself. You've got your own small business, you're a consultant, are you entrepreneurial? This is a really good way to advocate for what you're working on. Right, so let's look at how we use LinkedIn for building relationships. This is probably the number one thing people focus on with LinkedIn. Well, it's the purpose of LinkedIn anyway. So let's have a look at some networking principles. So LinkedIn used correctly can be an excellent networking tool. So some of the principles that you need to keep in mind will really help you get off on the right foot with using LinkedIn on your networking journey. So think about it, and I've said that a few times already, it's all about relationships. So some key things for all relationships when developing good relationships: give more than you get, be genuine, be proactive, take a long-term approach. Relationships take time and investment. Prioritize quality over quantity. Really focus on fostering those relationships. Try and be organised, try and contribute regularly, try and join up to groups and areas of interest to you. So here are some more relationship building strategies that you might find useful, and ways that LinkedIn also may be able to help you. So it's really important to break out of your silo. Don't wait until you need a job to start building your network. So start connecting now. You already all have people you could connect with on LinkedIn. Building relationships can start now. Finding a job can take time. Okay, you need to break out of your comfort zone. So lay that groundwork really early on in terms of what your career goals are, and share these. Share these on your LinkedIn profile. Share this with your family, your friends, your peers, your co-workers, so they know how they can help you. People love to help other people. Think about joining clubs, societies, sporting teams, community groups, anything where you have the opportunity to make a really wide range of contacts. The second tip is around building your own board of advisors. So you could really reap the benefits of your network by selecting a handful of people you trust and can lean on for straightforward advice. So people are going to be no holds barred with you. You really want to, once you've identified these important connections, you really want to reach out with tailored questions. Now, we will look at something called the alumni tool on LinkedIn, and this will help you to reach out and build your board of advisors. So this is where informational interviews can be really helpful, and we'll look at that in a little bit. It's basically a conversation that you have with someone else, perhaps in a job or field of interest to you. It can really help you in clarifying your employment and career objectives. It can be really useful in obtaining information about work in a particular industry or organisation. It can help to confirm your choice or career pathway. You can ask questions about the day-to-day activities involved in a job, helps you shortlist organisations where you'd like to work, helps you build confidence in your ability to speak with employers, and also helps you make contacts to obtain work experience. And one of the most successful ways of setting up an informational interview is to send a request via LinkedIn. And our third tip is around nurturing your current network. So really thinking about how you can deepen those ties with past and present mentors, academics, employers, peers. This will really increase the value of your network. So be sure to add these people as connections and send some friendly LinkedIn messages every few months. Make sure you connect and reconnect on the regular. So think about if you've read an interesting article you think someone might be interested in. Have you heard about some news regarding their industry or their sector? Offer up your assistance if it seems relevant. Now, these all seem like really simple and straightforward things, but they actually mean a lot. And these all are small gestures that can add up to your future success in your career. So there's a few things for you to keep in mind when you are making those connections. Customizing invitations is actually really important. Connecting personally is a really effective way to build your professional networks. And I'll just provide you with some examples of how you can do that. So when you go to connect with someone on LinkedIn, you'll see this opportunity here that says you can customize the invitation. So LinkedIn members are more likely to accept invitations that include a personal note. So you can actually add a note when you are customizing your invitations, reaching out to people you know. I'll show you another example. It's really important to think about nurturing your connections. So this is a colleague of mine, Tiana, and she reached out to someone she knew on LinkedIn to say she'd come across this really interesting article about some research that she thought this particular connection might appreciate. This is one way of nurturing your connections. And then that person actually got back to her and said, yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. I'll look into it further. And also, please let me know if I can be of any assistance. Always happy to help. This is how we grow relationships on LinkedIn. Now, I spoke about connecting for an informational interview. This is an example of how you can do that. Now, it's really important that you do a few things. You've got to connect personally. So you want to talk about work that is of relevance to that person. Refer to something perhaps they've been working on that you've used in your own work, or referred to in perhaps an assessment piece. Ask them if you would like to actually connect and spend some time talking about how they may have got started in their particular career. And this is an example of how you can do that. Okay, so I want to run this one past you all. This is an example, we've got two different examples here actually, of basically when you're reaching out to someone, okay, and an approach that's more effective. So the scenario is you have a new connection on LinkedIn. Have a look at these two approaches. Which one do you think might be more effective and why? Okay. So have a read. I'll just give you 30 seconds to read over those. And then I want to get your thoughts on which one of these approaches might be more effective to foster a new connection on LinkedIn. If anyone would like to make any comments, please feel free to pop them in the chat or unmute your mic and speak up. You're more than welcome to. So we talked about a few key things around connecting, and particularly around informational interviewing as an example, as a way of connecting. One of them was about being really authentic, being you, being genuinely interested with no ulterior motives to the questions that you might be asking, being quite forthright. When you look at the way that these two approaches differ, basically number 2 shows that you've researched the organisation, you're interested in the person and their work, you understand what they are looking for, and you're offering up the option to set up a time to talk further. Does anyone have any thoughts about why this might be a more effective approach than number 1? Any ideas, anyone? Yeah, thank you, Myra. I like the little emoji you've used. So Myra says at number 2, it's more engaging. That's fantastic. I think it's really important to keep in mind that informational interviewing or fostering new connections is not necessarily all about securing a job. For example, you can use LinkedIn for all kinds of all kinds of purposes, and fostering relationships within your professional network is for all kinds of purposes. It might be, as I've said earlier, about clarifying a career pathway, finding out more about the job that someone else does, and finding out whether that might actually be for you. Mun, thank you. Says number 2 sounds like a more formal conversation where number 1 sounds informal. Sure. Susan, when you click on their name, is it a one-to-one conversation or will it be seen by everyone in their network? No, it's a one-to-one conversation. Yeah. Myra says number 1's colder. So it sounds more like this person is using this opportunity really to try and score a job. And look, there may not be a position available that's suitable for you at the time, but what is long-lasting is relationships. If you take the time to foster them, people will remember you when opportunities do arise. So keep that in mind. All right, we're just going to look at growing and expanding our networks. So you can kind of look at our connections and the types of connections as 3 different types. So the first one is the advocate. Now, this is the person that you might actually originally, initially connect with first when you first set up your profile on LinkedIn. They might know you personally. They can act as a trusted sounding board. It might be someone, a colleague. It might be an old supervisor that you had a good relationship with. It might also be a close friend, family member, peers, someone you study with. Connection number 2, these are the strategic in. These are the well-connected individual. They will often demonstrate willingness to make connections on your behalf. So this might be someone who says to you, hey, you sound really interested in X, Y, and Z. Let me introduce you to someone. I'm going to do a warm introduction and introduce you on LinkedIn. That's fantastic. You really need those people in your life and in your professional networks. Now, this will likely be like a past co-worker, someone you studied with. It might be an academic. And the third one is that sort of subject matter expert. This person can really offer a superior insight on a specific industry. And there are ways to connect with these people. You can often do this through groups, for example, on LinkedIn. Getting involved in groups is a great way to do that. They can give an unbiased opinion. They might be more of a casual connection. It might be someone you met at perhaps a professional setting like a meeting, might be informal or formal ex-mentor. Again, could be an academic or someone like that. So as I've been emphasising, connecting with your cohort first. So looking at your students, your lecturers, your lecturers, your tutors, people you've met on placement, guest lecturers from your industry. Then you can ask for referrals from friends. And that's what I was talking about in terms of that warm introduction. If you want to meet someone in your friends network, you can ask for that warm introduction. You can also do an alumni search. And don't forget that when you network in person, and all that means is you might attend some sort of professional development event as part of your professional association activity. You might go to a meeting with someone. These kinds of things are actually golden. You can then connect with people via LinkedIn afterwards. So in terms of understanding how LinkedIn works in terms of degrees of connection, this is quite a useful image. So what you've got is your first, second, and third degree connections. So this is all about how you build your professional networks. So keeping in mind, though, if you want to expand your networks, getting to know others outside your circle really helps. So people we spend, think about it like this, people we spend a lot of time with are in the same pool as us. They're often they might be in the same workplace, they might study the same things. And while it's excellent to have those people as part of your network, you also need to think about how you might expand that outside your immediate circles. There's some great Stanford University research into what's called weak ties and the value of weak ties. And basically the premise behind this is that friendly outsiders can bring up interesting information beyond our immediate circle. So have a look at that if you're really interested in finding out more. Keep in mind too that normally you can only message first level connections directly. One way around that is to think about using groups and company pages. So if you want to like or follow groups and company pages, you can then message people who are connected to those groups and companies. And you can do that without being connected beforehand. Make sure, though, that when you are joining groups that you do have a genuine interest in connecting with, and make sure you're participating and contributing. You can actually message those members once you've joined, and I'll just show you what that looks like. So this is an example of a Griffith University applied psychology group that's set up. And as you can see, there's a message button on these. So you can send these people messages, you can have a look and see, are they early career? Do you want to, have they just graduated and have got a job in a field you're really interested in? Is it something that you might like to contact them about and ask for an informational interview? Maybe you want to find out how they got that first professional position. So LinkedIn is an amazing tool for career pathway research. So there's lots of value in joining groups and company pages and building your professional network. So career pathway research, by this we mean finding people who do jobs that work for organisations you're interested in. And this is where that alumni function comes into. Okay. You can join company pages and groups, as we've talked about, and you might uncover some connections in companies that you're targeting, perhaps for a graduate program. Groups are excellent for growing your networks and also showcasing your professionalism, and you can do that as a student too. You can contribute. As I said, you've got some really good ways as a student to actually contribute to groups. Often you are doing really interesting research, you're working on projects, and you're reading really up-to-date information on particular discipline areas that people within these groups would be really interested in hearing about. The other really good thing is if you start liking company pages, you can also sign up for jobs. So you will receive like targeted insights about jobs that are coming up. You can see the team that you'd be working with and for, and you can also research what your potential connections might be. So the alumni tool that I was just talking about is here. So there are some instructions here. Once you get onto LinkedIn, you basically search Griffith University just within the LinkedIn search bar, and then you can click on the alumni tab. Now, obviously, this is Griffith University alumni that I'm interested in, and you get lots of different information popping up, which can be really useful for making connections. It talks about what the people do, what they studied, all of that kind of thing, where they live, where they work, which is all really, really good information to have when you're interested in doing some career research. You can, as I said, you can find some early career alumni, find out what their career pathway was. Or maybe there's some people in this group that you really aspire to the career that they have, and you want to find out more. Well, you can just click on them and you can actually see what their career pathway was. You can see what they studied, what was their education, what mentorships, what internships, what opportunities did they take up to get where they are today. It's quite an invaluable tool. And of course, using these connections or using these links to make connections and having informational interviews out of this is a really good use of LinkedIn. So this is just a little bit more about asking for informational interviews. There's an example in here. Please feel free to use any of these examples when you are reaching out to professionals, and keep in mind the purpose of an informational interview. Okay, it's not necessarily asking for a job. It's about finding out more. It's about gaining advice on career pathways. It's about learning about an industry you might be interested in or a specific company you think you might like to work for. It's also about starting to set up those professional bonds. They're all really important parts of your career management. Now, this is something else that you can do. Once you've established those connections, you can use your network to request referrals. You can reach out to your connections if you hear that there's a role at the company that they may be working for. See what you can find out. And this is an example. This person here is asking someone if they'd be willing to share any information on the position, the team, and what they might be looking for in a candidate. It's about getting that insider information. And just to reassure you all that this is really normal practice, more than 60% of the workforce has actually referred someone to work at their company. So often the way we find jobs is through the people we know, the connections we make. So let's think about expanding your network strategically. So who should you reach out to on LinkedIn? So it's people you have something in common with, people who have a job or work at a company that interests you, people who may be able to connect you to someone else who may be able to help you achieve your career goals. So in terms of what you might say, you might talk about who you are, what your interests are, what you're studying, why you're interested in connecting, how you came across their profile. Maybe you read about them in an article. Maybe you saw them speak online, or maybe you went to a conference or a seminar and heard about them. Okay, so here's a few more tips around expanding your network strategically. So really being able to define your target audience is important. So identifying companies that are of interest to you and identifying those people who actually are making key decisions around recruitment. That's important. And you can do that by going to a company LinkedIn page and clicking on people. And that will show you all the people who are connected with that particular company. You'll get everyone from CEOs to all kinds of positions. It's really important that you think about your search methods. You can do a LinkedIn search, a hashtag search. You can look at your first and second degree connections, and you can search for those who work in relevant industries. We've talked about reaching out to make new connections. It's really about personalising that invitation. And if you've had a meeting or a conversation with someone, make sure you follow that up with a personalised LinkedIn connection request. Okay, that's really important. Another tip for you in terms of growing your network and finding new connections, one of the easiest and most relevant ways is to actually sync your profile with your email address book. And this enables LinkedIn to suggest people you could connect with. So it's an easy thing to do. It's really effective at surfacing relevant people that you can reach out to who you may not have thought about reaching out to. It doesn't actually send a connection request without your permission. So you still have to go through that process, which is good. You can decide who you can connect with. Really getting into the habit of following up meetings and conversations with LinkedIn connection requests. That's a really great way of keeping your network vibrant and up to date. Remember, we talked about expanding your circles too. So that's important. Always think about ways that you can be widening your circle of professional networks. Okay. So this is one way you can search for new connections is through first, second and third degree. So when you have a look in the LinkedIn search bar, you can actually go to networks and connections and you can use some filters and search first, second and third. You can connect, you can message, you can follow, depending on that person's actual individual settings. That's one way that you can connect with other people. Using hashtags is actually also a really good way of reaching potentially new and like-minded audiences. If you look in your groups, you can actually see, so the groups that you're following, you can actually see the hashtags that are trending in your network. And you can actually use these yourselves too. So you can choose to follow particular hashtags. And what that means is that anything posted under that hashtag will then appear in your feed. This is an example here. I'm following the Australian Jobs hashtag. You can see there's 585 followers, and this actually popped up in my feed. As you can see, this person uses the Australian Jobs hashtag when they are promoting fantastic positions. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat. If you want me to slow down or I've missed something, please let me know. And please feel free to turn your mics on and speak up if you would like to. So using hashtags actually helps to increase the visibility of your posts, helps you actually reach a larger audience. So when you use a hashtag, your post is displayed to anyone who follows that hashtag or searches for it, even if they're not connected with you on LinkedIn. So that's another way to increase your professional connections and your circles. You can add your own hashtag just by typing the hash and the word or phrase directly into your post. I showed you an example of that, and that's on the screen in front of you. Recommended hashtags will automatically be suggested by LinkedIn when you're composing your own hashtag. These can really help you to establish your authority and credibility in an area as well. Okay, by consistently using particular hashtags that are really relevant to what you're talking about, you can actually show your expertise and thought leadership. Helps to position yourself as a valuable contributor to a particular area of thought leadership. I put some tips on the screen there, and I did a lot of reading. There's a lot of articles on LinkedIn Help, which is incredibly useful, and also on YouTube. And one of the things they've said is use hashtags sparingly, no more than 5 in one post, and that using hashtags that are quite focused and then maybe 2 quite focused and 3 broader is like basically a bit of a recipe for making sure you're reaching new audiences, potentially new audiences, but also connecting with those that are relevant to your purpose. All right. Let's talk about getting noticed. What are the things that we can do on LinkedIn to actually get noticed? All right, so here is an example of how you can engage really well on LinkedIn. So publishing and engaging with LinkedIn by posting regularly, it's a really great way to connect with your purpose. So as you can see in this example in front of you, this is a really great example of someone being proactive and genuine and authentic in showing their professional connections. It also helps build your credibility. It also helps in relationship building too. It helps you connect to your purpose, which is actually really important. This is what motivates us to keep going, to keep contributing to platforms like LinkedIn. It's where we get our motivation from, is when we feel connected to our purpose. So use LinkedIn to do that. LinkedIn's got some pretty cool features that will allow you to stand out. There's something called LinkedIn Creator Cover Stories, and I highly recommend that you have a look. There's some great YouTube clips on creating a really good cover story. Basically, it is a short 30-second introductory video where you can share your skills and experience with your network in a short, easily digestible format, being a video clip. Okay. One of the tips to keep in mind is that the feature only works on the LinkedIn mobile app. So I put a link in there to an article that you might find useful in exploring this further. You might also think about using banners or creating a banner. And this is all this happens up in the LinkedIn cover photo area of your profile. So This remains, your LinkedIn cover photo actually will continue to remain visible in search results, but it'll be replaced by your video on the LinkedIn app. So just to tell you a little bit about how that works. So as I said, get onto YouTube, get onto LinkedIn Help and find out how to make a good cover story. Okay, so a bit of a chat about gaining recommendations. So the best profiles really have at least 1 or 2 recommendations for a position you may have held. This is actually really impressive to recruiters and potential employers. And then most impressive if you can get someone who's directly supervised you to actually provide you with a recommendation. And I think that's for obvious reasons. And there's an example there in front of you. And I've found one of the things that works really best, you can approach someone for a recommendation and offer to actually do a recommendation for someone else. That works really well. It's worked really well for me in the past too. I'm just checking if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask away. Right. So just to recap, optimizing your LinkedIn, everything we've been talking about regarding getting noticed really relies on how you optimize your LinkedIn. So this is really down to 3 things. It's down to content, credibility, and relationship building. So content, we're talking about things like your profile. Are you using keywords and phrases that are relevant, for example, to your discipline, to your industry, to the career that you're wanting to get involved in? Have you customized your URL? You can do that, and then you can include that URL in your resume. Have you got relevant content? When was the last time you updated your LinkedIn profile? Make sure that that summary section that tells all about you is updated regularly. And as a student, that's going to change. You're going to be looking for different opportunities. So you might be looking for internships, mentorships. You might be looking for part-time or casual roles that will help you to develop skills in a particular area. Make sure you update your profile, your summary regularly to actually reflect that. Have a look at the photo that you're using. Make sure it's reasonably professional. You don't need to spend a lot of money getting a professional photo, but if you can use a photo that's used good light, that is obviously in a professional setting, then you'll be doing well. In regards to credibility, so this is really about who you are connected to and thinking about ways you can broaden your connections. We talked about a few of those ways. So one of them was making some connections outside your studies. So think about things you might be interested in. Think about clubs, societies, sports teams, other networks or relationships that you might have. These are really good ways to broaden our networks and increase opportunities. Make sure you've listed your relevant skills, and you can actually ask for endorsement on these too. Have a look at your recommendations. Have you received any? Have you asked for any? Have you given any? Joint groups, like particular organisational or company pages, follow the jobs sections, and then look at the media and attachments that are on your profile. So the third way that you can look at optimising your LinkedIn is around relationship building. Okay, this is all about your activity. So what's your activity on this platform? Do you contribute regularly? Do you share posts that you like, for example? Do you comment on discussions in groups? Do you reach out to others? Do you ask for informational interviews? Do you publish your own work? So if you are in that stage of your academic career where you're publishing work, are you going ahead and publishing that too? It's all really important to keep in mind when you're looking at optimizing your LinkedIn. All right. Some more tips for you just around privacy settings. These can be locked down or as open as you like. So if you're just getting started, you want to really make it probably quite open. You want to make it really public. Okay. If you were someone that had quite the profile, then you would probably lock that down to your level of comfort or whatever your purpose is on being on the platform. You can actually lock down so many different settings on LinkedIn, everything from your company info, your education, visibility of your profile in network. You can lock down your last name if you want to. You can manage whether your profile information can be found using your email address, your phone number, you can lock down your active status. You can allow others or not to mention or tag you in posts, and you can control who you can reach out to, who can reach out to you, how your inbox is managed, your job seeking preferences. You can decide if you actually want to share your resume with recruiters, and you can signal your interest to recruiters at companies you've created job alerts for. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. You can tailor the entire experience to however you want it to be, and you can change that whenever you'd like. So this is how you show recruiters that you're open to work. It's actually really quite useful. It's the instructions are here, but you basically go into your profile. You can go into your settings. You can add job titles, types and locations you're interested in. Click on open to work. Indicate whether you're available immediately, just browsing, choose whether you want to share you're open with all LinkedIn members or only recruiters. Now that one can be really key. If you only want certain people to know that you are available to work or that you're looking, you can actually change that setting to allow you to do that. Right, so we're basically towards the end of our presentation now. I'm just going to share with you the whole heap of really great resources that you might find useful. And I will post all of these to the Teams chat, including the ones that were posted earlier at the beginning of the session that some of you missed. What I would like to do is give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have before I share a little more information with you about some career resources. So does anyone have any questions? I understand it's a lot of information to take on board. What I encourage you to do really is just get on and just mug around, play with your profile, play with the settings, play with connecting to others. Obviously, think carefully about who you connect with, but really give it a go. Try connecting with someone. Try asking someone to partake in an informational interview with you. Try asking a peer or a supervisor for a recommendation. So think about all the ways you can optimize your LinkedIn profile. Now, it's not just about receiving, you can also be giving as well. So you may actually offer recommendations. You may offer to endorse someone on their LinkedIn profile. There's lots of things that you can do to help build that relationship. So Myra's asking a question. If you're currently working but want to search for new opportunities, what's the best way to manage the open to work function? Yeah, you can actually set that up in your open to work. So if you were to look up LinkedIn help and open to work, you can actually set up your settings so that you decide who the open to work function is visible to. So it doesn't have to be visible to everyone. It can be visible to recruiters, for example, only. Jacqueline, is it possible to merge my old profile with my new profile? Great question. I don't know the answer. That's another LinkedIn help. So it sounds like you've got two profiles, Jacqueline. So what I'd be doing is prioritizing one and probably trying to shut down the other. But LinkedIn Help is incredibly useful for all of those kind of questions. Does anyone want to know anything else? All right, I'm just going to share a few more resources with you that I think you might find interesting on this career journey that you're all on. We've got if you're on the Gold Coast or interested in attending, we've got the Gold Coast Careers Fair coming up on the 1st of August. This is where we bring employers together who are looking for top talent amongst our Griffith University students. Great if you're looking for a job or you just want to come and talk to employers about what might be possible. Even if you're not ready yet to step out into your first professional position, it's great to come and have a look and just chat to employers. You never know what opportunities might be available. It's not just about jobs. Companies also have mentorships, internships, all of that kind of thing too that you can do on vacation. Really good way to connect with industry. What I'm going to ask you to do next is to please give us your feedback on this presentation. You'll see a QR code on the screen in front of you. If you use your phone and take a photo of that QR code, that will allow you to leave some feedback regarding this presentation. And it helps us to actually make these seminars and workshops better in the future too. So Ted's just posted all about Career Fair. Thank you so much, Ted. There's some links in there and you can register, keep up to date with all the news. And just to let you know, we are here for you anytime throughout your student journey with us at Griffith. We are career development consultants. We offer free one-to-one career support for all Griffith students. We can help you with all kinds of things, from job search and application support, writing your resumes, leveraging obviously your LinkedIn profile, which we're doing today. We've got a great industry mentoring program. We can help you with questions around career exploration, degree uncertainty, all of that kind of thing too. I just noticed a question from Kia. When is the Nathan Career Fair? Ted and Alex, I think it's normally around March. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Ted. You can make an appointment or submit your resume through Career Hub. So Alex has popped that link in the chat for you. We have an online resume review service. So if you are drafting a resume for a job and you want some feedback, please submit it online through our online resume review service and you'll get feedback within around 5 business days. That's a great service. All right, just a couple more resources to show you. So these are our career appointments. Career Hub. So if you haven't come across Career Hub, it's really excellent for searching for casual, part-time, full-time and graduate work. It's constantly being refreshed. Employers are always adding to it. There are hundreds of jobs on there. You can follow employers, so you're notified when they upload a new job. You can look up employers on LinkedIn if you find that they're hiring. You can register for industry events, for webinars, for seminars like this. So it's an excellent tool for your career development. And there's a few more. Big Interview. This is wonderful if you're wanting to practice your interview skills. I highly encourage you to look up Big Interview. So this one is around building your professional resume. It's about our resume checking service. We've got lots of templates, checklists, guides and modules that can help you to create a really great resume. We also have a team of employment recruitment consultants who help to place Griffith students and graduates in full-time, part-time and casual paid employment. So if this is something you think you might be interested in, please look us up. You can submit your resume, and when a job comes up that is suitable for you, the team will be in touch. They also advertise through Career Hub. The Industry Mentoring Program is an amazing award-winning mentoring program. It's been around for years now. It's an excellent way to expand your professional networks, connect with the Griffith community. You will not regret a decision to get involved in the Industry Mentoring Program. So I was talking about these series, so Launch Your Career and Elevate Your Career. There are other session offerings that are available, and you can see those under events on Career Hub. So I encourage you to sign up for as many of these workshops as you can. You will always get something out of it. You can make an appointment then. If there's something that's really sparked your interest, you want to talk to a career development consultant, you can always make an appointment, come and have a chat with us. And we will help to guide you through making those really important career decisions. If you're an international student, we've got an excellent international student career series coming up. They're running all the way through, I think all the way through October and November. Those are focused on career issues that are specific to international students. This SharePoint site is fantastic, lots of careers and employment resources, lots of, for example, resume templates, lots of modules that help you to craft really good job applications, that kind of thing. So I'd encourage you to have a look at those. And feel free to follow us on social media. Here are all of our social channels if you are interested. And our contact details, you can always email career-opportunity@griffith.edu.au. If you've got any questions that come to you out of this workshop and you think I really just want to talk to someone, we are more than happy to have a chat with you and point you in the right direction of where you may be able to get the best careers advice. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. It's been wonderful connecting with some of you. Please feel free to get in touch at any time.